Hi there, I'm Wendy Down. I'm a life coach, and I thought that during this unusual time when we're all dealing with something that's anxiety provoking and we're all at home on our own, that you might want to use some of your time to learn a particular tool that I find extremely useful for helping ourselves feel peaceful, calm, and kind of learn to be the calm in the eye of the storm for ourselves and also for those around us. It's a way, it's a technique I use in almost every session. Um, and it's a way to calm the emotions and get emotional stability that then allows us to have clarity and peace and a broader perspective when we're making decisions in terms of actions that we need to take. So in order to do it, I'm actually going to guide you through it right now. So if you have a few minutes just to stop doing everything else and just let yourself really experience what I'm going to describe, you'll notice that you will feel quite different by the time that we're done. So it requires making the decision to be here and actually doing and experiencing what I can show you that your body has the ability to do that you may have never personally experienced before. It has to do with working with our own feelings or emotions. And first I want to make a distinction. What most of us do when we think we're feeling is that we actually are thinking about our feelings. So we're in our heads thinking about facts and details, and words are flowing through our minds, and we're reviewing situations. So that is to think about a feeling. What is completely different, however, and extremely useful is to feel feelings. And when we feel a feeling, we're in a completely different dimension. We're not in our mind thinking, we're actually in our emotional system feeling. And as we feel an uncomfortable feeling, our body heals that feeling. It's like a feeling just wants to be felt. And once we've felt it thoroughly, there's nothing left to feel. And so if you want to see if that can happen for you right now, just stay with me. Even if it's a feeling as alarming as panic or worry or anxiety about the things that are going on right now, if you bring your focus, as I'm going to guide you, what you will discover is that the sensation itself of that panic or worry or anxiety will start to change in ways that you can notice in the moment as we go. And this is like accessing a new dimension in yourself where you can learn to become the calm in the eye of the storm, not just for yourself, but for all those around you as well. So if you're willing to try it, just bring to mind what's going on, and all the uncertainty in the world right now and the uncertainty in your own life. And so you can use your thoughts to bring up the feeling. And then as soon as it's there, I'm just going to ask you or invite you to bring your attention down into your body and just notice the place in your body that feels most dynamic, I guess, at this point, where there's a feeling of some tightness, tension, pressure. In our emotional system, emotions actually are sort of like semi-solid objects. And so they have shape, they have texture, they have intensity, sometimes they have movement. And most of us, because we mostly think about our feelings, don't ever discover this. So let's do that right now. So whatever feeling that you are feeling right now, notice that this isn't the first time you felt this. This feeling is actually extremely familiar to you. You've felt it many, many times in your life before. And there may be all kinds of qualities to it. You might put one word to it, like anxiety or worry, but there's actually a lot of different feelings uh, and aspects to it. And so the beautiful thing about just working with a feeling as a feeling is we don't have to sort all that out. We don't have to figure out, why or what or how to name it or anything. The whole ball of discomfort is just sitting there, and it can be the big mess and intertwined, details. And all of that is just sensation. And so right now, just take your awareness to the place in your body that feels most uncomfortable right now. It's likely to be perhaps in your throat or your chest or your stomach, but just scan your body and notice, where do I feel discomfort right now? And wherever that is, just take your awareness there. So this is the first way that we're working with the structure of an emotion, bringing awareness to it. And by bringing awareness to it, you're going to start to notice that it's going to start to change. And so just keep your awareness on the location in your body where that discomfort is. Like I said, notice if it's in your chest, your stomach, your neck, your head. If it's in a few places, you might find that it actually is connected in some way, that there's a rod or a cord that connects it in different places. And the only way that you can tell where it exists is by feeling for it. So right now you're practicing feeling for where the emotion is. And so sometimes they're even outside our body. And so all you're doing is just using your emotional sensors to feel, where is the discomfort right now? And most of the time we try and avoid discomfort because it's hard to feel, it's uncomfortable. But right now, notice that even as the discomfort is, difficult to be with, you're okay as you do it. So as you have your attention on just sort of feeling, is it still there? Is it still there? Is it still in the same spot? Has it moved somewhere else? As you do that, continue to explore it. And now you're going to explore it for shape. Because like I said, emotional charges, right, have shape. And so is it round? Is it oblong? Is it uneven? Does it come and go? Does it fluctuate? All you're doing is just sort of feeling, if this was an object in space, which it is, what shape would I say that it has? And you don't have to determine exactly what it is. It's enough just to simply keep your awareness on it and keep feeling for, is the shape still there? Is it still in the same place? So as you're doing that, you'll notice as well that emotions have a certain amount of intensity. So say on a level of 1 to 10, with 10 being the most intense feeling you've ever felt, this feeling that you're feeling right now will fall somewhere on that scale. If there's no feeling there whatsoever, you're completely at peace or neutral, that's a 0. So right now, as you're feeling that location in your body where you feel a shape of some sort that's uncomfortable, just notice, what number would I give this right now? And in order to come up with the number, say it's a 7, say it's an 8, it's a really intense, uncomfortable feeling. But as you feel for the feeling and the intensity of the feeling, again, notice that even though that area of your body is extremely uncomfortable, all around it, the rest of you is okay. So all of the distress is encapsulated in that particular area of your body, and the rest of you is still. And so, again, you're simply at this point noticing. Your awareness is in the realm of your emotions, and you're simply noticing and aware of what's going on there, perhaps in a way that you never have before. And so now, having paid attention and continuing to feel for that location in your body where that emotional charge first appeared on a level of intensity that you gave a number to, you can start to notice, is it still the same? And when, is the intensity the same? Is it still, say, a 7? Has it gone up to a 9? Has it gone down to a 5? And the only way you can tell is by feeling. The other thing you can notice is the shape the same? So if it was oblong before, or two places it was joined by some sort of connector, is that shape still the same, or is the shape changed somehow? And the only way you can tell is by feeling. Another way to kind of help yourself focus into feeling rather than thinking is to imagine that this is the first time in your life you have ever felt this. You have no history with it, and so you're just exploring it with your feeling sensors. So another thing about objects, including the semi-solid structure of emotional charges, is that they have size. And so right now you can feel for what is the size of this emotional charge that I'm feeling. Is it like the size of a basketball? Is it the size of a baseball? Is it the size of a watermelon? Of a small nut? Of a rock? Or a marble? What is the size? And the only way you can tell the size is to feel inside you for what is the size. And again, as you continue to feel this feeling, you heal this feeling. It's like the feeling, the charge dissipates. The intensity and the size of it starts to change as you bring your awareness to it. And so it's possible initially that if that sensation, that charge, that panic or anxiety, if we want to use words for it, which we don't, might have been the size of a basketball, and now, interestingly, it may be the size of a marble. It may have been an intensity of 8, and now it's the intensity of a 4. Interesting. And notice how it changes just simply through your observation of it. The other thing is you don't know what it's going to do next. And so the only way you can tell is by continuing to feel it. And so as you continue to feel for the location, which sometimes moves, sometimes it'll be really intense in one area, and then the intensity diminishes there, and then it'll be more intense in another area, and you just keep following where's it most intense. Now that your attention is so locked onto the sensation itself, you can start to notice other qualities. Sometimes an emotion will have like a buzzing quality. You can feel for that. You can also sometimes feel kind of like an electrical charge. And sometimes that happens when we stop thinking about it in terms of words and just think about it as sensation. like an electrical charge. Sometimes the object, the semi-solid structure of an emotion will feel really dense, like hard. And sometimes it won't. It'll feel like soft or squishy, like a cloud. Sometimes it'll have really defined borders, like a bowling ball, a surface on it, which then you can feel around the surface and feel for, is it the same all the way around? Or is there a little spot where there's a bump or a little indent? And what happens if I put my attention into that more interesting spot? And so we're actually, notice how this is a very different way of working with emotions and understanding them. They're semi-solid structures of emotional charge in our body. And so right now, as you bring awareness to them and allow yourself to feel them in a way you never had before, they change. Is that interesting? And all you have to do is be willing to feel what's there to be felt and just follow it. Your body is so ready to be free of this charge, and it knows what to do. It knows exactly how to dissipate this charge. Other qualities of the emotion that you might feel are sometimes there's like a waviness to it, or it comes and goes in little bursts. And if that's happening for you, you just sort of watch and see what's the pattern you feel for. How does that go? You're just bringing awareness, you're just sensing what's happening with this. Sometimes they can be sort of dispersed across your whole field. And if so, all you're doing is kind of isolating. Where's that feeling? It's everywhere. Fine. Let me just pay attention to what that's like. And again, notice that even though the quality of the feeling may be quite intense, you're okay as you do this. You're okay. You're already like the calm in the eye of the storm. The storm is that energy, that feeling, and you're the calm that's witnessing it and allowing it to change. And so if there's any of it left in any form, just continue to sense what's there to be felt. Just keep feeling for the places that are most interesting, most dense, most difficult. Sometimes there's layers, kind of like, those candies that are black on the outside, then red, then pink, then green. Sometimes as we move through an emotional structure, it'll feel like hard on the outside or like anxiety. And then as we get to the inside, it feels more tender and more difficult to be with, like panic or hopelessness, which are words. And so you can just feel for the qualities of those. What does a sensation that I would describe as hopelessness? What are the characteristics of it as a semi-solid structure that was different than the way the outer layer of maybe anger was? Sometimes our mind will tell us that this will never go away, and so there's no point. And so that's a distraction. And that thought actually will have its own charge to it. And you can separate that out. What's the feeling of the thought? This is never going to go away. That's kind of like hopelessness, I guess. And then just turn your attention to the quality and the characteristics of that charge. Emotions are just like frequencies. Our eyes and our ears read red. Our eyes read red as different than blue because they vibrate at different frequencies. Our ears hear an A note from a C note because they're at different frequencies. Same within our body. Anger feels different than shame, than panic, because of the different frequencies, but the willingness just to bring awareness and sense and feel any one of those frequencies causes it to come back into neutral. And so when I work with this technique with clients, what we always do is continue to feel whatever feeling is present until there's absolutely none of it left to feel. Sometimes what happens is when people are left on their own to do it, the charge lessens, so there's less energy to bring your attention there, and so you sort of lose interest in it. But if you continue to just keep feeling for, is there any of it left? Is there any of it left? Even if it started out as a 10, and now it's like the faintest little whisper of a 0.2. If you just continue to feel for any of it that's still there, at some point, just like a musical note, as it fades away, and then suddenly at some point you realize, yeah, there's none of it left, that exact same thing can happen to any emotion in your body. You just continue to feel it until there's absolutely nothing left to feel. And then what remains in that space where there was a charged ball of hard, dense emotion on the level of a 10 is that there's absolute stillness there instead. And I would love for you to experience that for yourself. Because when you do this, it doesn't just bring you to stillness now and then it all comes back. No, it's like you've permanently quelled that charge that's been building up, wanting to be felt since the first time you felt it. And so now as an adult, with your full capacity to feel anything and everything, which you're doing right now or have just done, you've permanently brought peace to an area in your body that perhaps has never been peaceful since you're living, since you have memory. And so what you'll notice after this, if you allow yourself to continue, even if it takes till after I'm done here with you, just to continue to feel it until there's nothing left to feel, is that you will feel quite different. You can look at the situation that was causing you anxiety or panic or concern before, and you'll suddenly notice you still are aware of it, but there's no charge in your body anymore. There's stillness and peace where before that strong emotion came up every time. Or if some of it comes back up, you just come back, do exactly the same thing we've done just now, and have it come back to neutrality as well. And what you'll notice is that this is what it's like to become the calm in the eye of the storm, because your reactivity, your reactions, you don't get triggered in the same way. You'll start to notice that you have more sort of space and time within yourself to thoughtfully consider things rather than responding to the emotional charge that comes up when you look at them. You're actually responding to the situation itself rather than trying to deal with the situation within yourself. And so I just give you that tool, so useful. And it can be applied to any emotional charge of any nature. Doesn't require explaining it to anyone, doesn't require understanding it. It just requires being willing and able to feel what's there to be felt. And wouldn't it be wonderful if you practice that and were able to become the calm in the eye of the storm during this time that we're all moving through? Bye for now.